everybody. Welcome to another episode of Coaching While Black. We're here on Radio Row at the Super Bowl out here in New Orleans. My name is Anthony Andino.
I'm Armond Richards.
And today we want to talk about the mental health aspect beyond performance in sports. And when you hear that thing, Armond, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like, what is performance outside of sports? Like, the mental game becomes, performance is just the game time, right?
100%.
It's just when you are doing what the coach has trained you to do. But the mental health aspect doesn't end when the final whistle blows.
And I think a lot of coaches, I heard Mike Tomlin say this a while back, they dodge the responsibility of that, how much you can impact a young person's life in the time that you have them in the gym or on the field, to give them those skills, give them those life skills, and teach them ways to translate their peak performance on the field or on the court to tangible things that happen in the space outside of, the game.
Yeah, and there's honestly, sadly, there's nothing more temporary than your youth and everything that comes with it. So if you are leading a young person to focus on nothing but this aspect of their personality, their character, and their health, what are they left with when you are done with them as a coach?
I mean, and that goes into those adults who are still trying to live their youth sports lives, their youth sports careers through the young people they have in their service now, whether it be a parent trying to make sure that their kid is the best basketball player they can be, or you have a coach living their soccer dreams through a young group of athletes, right? When your whole identity is only and solely tied to your performance in this sport, it's hard for you to break ties with it, and it's also hard for you to build out the relationship to the next iteration of those young people coming into the space. So I think it's really important, yes, to make sure that people get those benefits of sport in regards to how it can lend to real life, but at the same time, let them know, yeah, we're here to perform, but this is not where it ends. If I don't do my job to help you be the best version of yourself in and out of the sport, then I've dodged that responsibility.
Yeah. Now, there's a very stark difference, and it's probably strictly through money, between professional sports and youth sports. In terms of what the players are getting out of this in professional sports is very clear, a financial, paycheck. Youth sports, they're not getting a monetary cut out of this. Is there a benefit to, a constant training session for your kids, to constantly giving them access to high-quality training, high-quality facilities, high-quality sports experience?
I think we all can speak to that. The higher the quality of whatever medium or thing or tool is you have, the better the outcome will be. It may not be the ultimate goal that you were looking for, but you stand a better chance with better quality of product. But I think a lot of parents, again, and coaches, they're determining what the success of that, investment is, and the young people don't have a lot of say in what that is.
Right.
So it depends on what that young person wants to get out of that. So you have young people who just play to have fun, but are out there in spaces trying to overperform and trying to be things that they aren't or don't want to be because they're living up to someone else's expectation. So that matters, sure, the quality of whatever you're doing, but at the same time, is it what the young person wants, and are you having that dialogue with them to understand, hey, this is what I see as the person who's providing this opportunity for you and as a consumer, but you're the user, what are you looking to get out of this at the same time?
I mean, that dialogue is so key, isn't it? Yeah. Just keeping that communication line open, because dreams change, my energy levels change.
100%.
Even as a coach, my ability to keep my mental health at peak performance is dependent on a variety of factors that have zero to do with the students that I'm coaching. So how do I maintain my mental health performance, when I'm not coaching?
And I think coaches don't do enough in regards to modeling what that looks like for their young people, because that's a huge moment to kind of show up for your young people, saying in the moments where your day is not what it should be,
right?
Hey, having a bad day, but we're gonna work through A, B, and C. By you being vulnerable in those spaces, I think vulnerability is a huge piece in regards to the dynamic and the mental health of our young people. I feel like being vulnerable with them allows us to start having those conversations that we were alluding to earlier, but it also allows them to kind of be empowered in those spaces and teaching them how to then transfer that into other areas of their lives. A lot of our coaches for lack of better terms, they want young people to comply with the way that they do things, or when they don't comply, they say, okay, you can do what you want, you don't have to be here anyway. And those are two very harmful ways to go about things, because you teach them how to behave for you and not how to be successful and learn the skills to be successful at all times.
Man.
Or you teach them that this person, people give up on me, and if I don't show up exactly the way that they want me to, then this is the outcome, and it's okay for me to just leave, because I'm just gonna go to the next opportunity. If it doesn't look like I fit that mold, they're gonna push me to the side.
Right.
Where again, you could have this opportunity where they, hey, this is what I wanna see, right? And this is what it looks like to be successful in the way that I would like you to be, or in the way that this team needs you to be. But at the same time, what do you have in mind for your experience here?
I mean, you brought up something. You said vulnerability, which it rung something in my bell. I read a book years ago called The Culture Code, where this author went around to different winning cultures and tried to break down what created a good culture in a company. Like, he studied the Spurs back in like the Tim Duncan era, and like, what did Pop do that made this team so successful, that made players so like willing and passionate to play for him? And one of the things was, he said, express vulnerability. Like, that is a key thing that a leader and a culture needs to be able to do. The other two things is create safety and have a shared mission. So like, vulnerability is absolutely key. And like, from a coaching about Black perspective, vulnerability is hard.
100%. At least, and I can only speak from my experience as both as a Black male and as a Black coach. As a young man growing up, vulnerability is taught to us as something that you don't show, because
Shameful.
It's like blood in the water for sharks in the neighborhoods that we grow up in. And what that does is it forces folks to not flex the muscle to speak about, what's going on within them and what's going on in their emotions. So a young man who's been taught to suppress vulnerability, suppress their emotions, soldier through, when they get into adult relationships or when they're in spaces where that's something that people need from them, they can't do it. And it's not because, I don't want to do this. I don't know how, because I've been taught to not do that my whole life. And do I want to show up in this way? Yes, but I don't have the words for you to be that person. I don't have the skill. I don't have that skill set, because it's something that's never been fostered within me. And on the other end, that's taken as a lack of motivation, lack of, effort on your end. But they don't know how to say, I just don't know how to do that. And when you say I don't know, people think that you're just trying to make my day bad, or you're just trying to dismiss the situation.
And one thing I learned as a coach is no kid wakes up with the express desire to ruin your day.
A lot of people think that, though.
Like, right? And it feels like that sometimes, too. Like, that one felt personal, little Timmy. Yeah. But like, nobody, as far as I've seen or experienced in my 40 years, has woken up, it's like, I'm going to ruin Armand's day. This is gonna be my goal. And when I see this dude, I'm gonna shake everything that he loves to the core.
100%, and that doesn't just live like on the youth sports aspect, like, because again, we have youth sports coaches who come into spaces and we're like, hey, we're here to play basketball. Like, all that other stuff, don't bring that in here. We don't want to start creating that environment then where you have young people say to themselves that for me to be able to show up in this space, I have to leave other parts of myself outside. But then you go up to the professional level or the college level, where you have coaches like Prime who go out and say, and I love what he's done in Boulder, Colorado, before I say anything else. But when the elite level coaches are going out and saying that I'm looking for that dude that's hungry, coming from that single family home, you then start to build on that negative narrative too. And not saying that you don't want those young people who come from those circumstances to have those opportunities, but there's other young people who have the talent, who come from a two-family household, who don't have the generational trauma that you're looking for, because I feel like people can take advantage of that young person in a way where that other person has systems and supports around them that you can't do that. And I think that's the wrong way to go about it.
Yeah, I feel you, man. On the other hand, when you started talking about that, I started thinking about Dak Prescott.
Oh, yeah.
And how forward he is with his mental health struggles. And like, it does feel like he gets slapped down a little bit for being vocal about what he goes through and what his family has struggled with and whatnot. But like, from my stance, as just speaking from me, like, I can't echo it enough. how important it is to be vocal about it when you feel like the silence is killing you. And like, Coach Prime is interesting. He has provided success in some aspects, but from where we sit and from what we know about the brain and how these outcomes turn out, like, I can't help but feel that many of the people that go through his program will be worse for wear.
True.
Mentally, emotionally, just not better after having gone under his leadership.
And I'm sure that if one of those players or one of the coaches in his program hears about this, they'll have a testimonial to come back and combat everything we just said. And that's totally fine.
Welcome.
What I'm saying is not going and is the end all be all and the absolute truth. What I am saying is to be successful doesn't mean you have to go about it in that way. The way that we are asking folks to look at this opportunity or this situation is in a way that is not only going to get you the best out of that athlete, but is also going to make sure that that athlete has what they need to be successful outside of your program. Like, we're not talking about the experience in program. What we're talking about is what have you done for that young person to make sure that when they show up at work, if football isn't, the way that they go, that they're great there, that they're great parents when they have young people, that they're great partners to their spouses when they come out. So, yes, Coach Prime is great at football, and do I think he's been able to produce phenomenal human beings, phenomenal children, phenomenal athletes, giving coaches great opportunities? 100%. But the benefits of doing that in a way that's healing-centered and respectful to the biology and brains of those people can triple that effect and can bring more people into the fold to get that great experience.
With higher, long-lasting, more consistent performance.
100%.
That's not predicated on this doom that is hanging over me because, I know how my coach is going to react.
Or that this guy gave me this opportunity that I could feed my mom. My mom will never work again, so I'm going to take this abuse.
Yeah, I'll now live in this space. And you talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
You don't have to be
anywhere you don't want to be. And I'll say that to any athlete and any coach. If you feel like I told your player not to go anywhere, no. But what I am saying is, on both ends, you don't have to be anywhere you don't want to be. So if a space is not for you or you feel like it doesn't benefit you in all of the ways you need it to, leave.
Find someplace else. Thanks, man.
Very welcome.
Yeah. This has been a great episode of Coaching While Black. I'm Armond.
I'm Anthony.
We hope to see you next time. Yeah.